Welcome to the new IT with your hosts Bobby Glen James and Brad Anderson. We are excited to be here for episode 1, truly. This is the first episode of the new IT. What is the new IT? Brad, can you tell us what the new IT is? What are we talking about here? Why are we even doing this before we get into the episode?
Absolutely. I think more than anything else, IT is changing and the landscape has changed. So what we want to do is we want to talk about issues that are pressing and things that we see that are valuable and things that we need to be talking about. Some of the things that I think we need to be talking about, first and foremost, is do you really need a degree in IT?
Do you need a degree in IT? Is it important? Do we have to get out there and spend the thousands and get in huge debt to get a decent job in the IT industry? Is that, is it a have to? Is it not? That's what we're going to talk about today?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we're just going to, this is new to us. We're not sure. We're still learning the format. We're still trying to understand what this looks like. You and me, we're coming from two different worlds. Brad comes from a recruiting area, a place of where to find the people and how to get clients, the correct people and all. And then I'm coming from the IT space where I've been in IT 20 years and I've hired a lot. I've fired. I've been hired and fired. And so we're coming from two different angles, hopefully to get some real insight for not only IT people looking for jobs, but also folks that are looking to hire IT.
Absolutely.
Cool. So let's just get into it. Does a degree matter in IT? Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, it depends. From a candidate standpoint, yes, I do feel that a degree does matter, but more than anything else, what we're seeing is we're seeing that certifications matter more than just a degree.
So you're saying the simple answer is yes.
Yes.
A degree matter. The simple answer, folks, I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but in the IT industry, in the world, does a degree matter? And unfortunately, the simple answer is yes, but we're going to go into this, right? We're going to kind of dive down. So there is hope. If you don't want a degree, can you get a job in IT without a degree?
Yes, I still think you can get a job in IT without a degree. However, I think you're really limiting yourself on your possibilities because you don't have that degree. Believe it or not, companies still value and they see that a degree is a commitment. It's a 4-year commitment that you're making to say, hey, you know what? I get it. I know this was a struggle, but I got my degree. I followed through on something and I did it. So more than anything else, that just shows your level of commitment to them.
So why do you care about this topic, Brad, yourself? Coming from the space of what you do, why do you care if in the IT industry needs degrees or not? Coming from your space of hiring, or finding recruiting.
For finding recruiting, I look at it as it's important to me because I want to present the best possible candidates possible. Does it mean they need a degree? Well, it depends. If you have 20 years of experience in the industry and you have a good body of work, well, chances are you're really not going to need a degree. But having said that, those are rare cases.
And so this seems like a contradiction. We just said you really need a degree, but there's an asterisk, if I could speak.
Right.
There's an asterisk there. You do need, but you don't necessarily need. And we're going to kind of get into diving into the big stuff of that. We were talking about it earlier. Why would you not need a degree?
I think it depends on the level of IT you're getting into. Obviously, help desk, IT, things of that nature. No, that's a good
starting point.
Exactly. It's a starting point. That's a good place to start. You're really not going to need a degree, but if you're pursuing one and you're going down that path, it's good to get your feet wet, so to speak, and get that understanding of the lay of the land.
Yeah.
So that's normally where you're going to be able to find those people. But over time, you're going to continue to see that it's more about work ethic and what you're putting into it. So potentially you do have room to grow, but again, because you don't have that degree, a lot of companies are going to say, well, this is kind of a requirement. This shows us that you care and that you're you're committed to something.
In my work and seeing IT, the IT world, I see kind of two paths that people take. There's the traditional kid goes to college, gets wants to do technology, so gets a computer science degree, does all of that, works hard to do that, and goes to, has fun in college like some do, and has a blast, and then they join the workforce and they get, that entry level job. And then the other one is guy doesn't go to school, gets out of high school or whatever, and finds that entry level job. Boom, right then. That's what I've seen mostly. And usually when that person goes there, they get that job, they never have time again to go to college. They never have time to go to do it. And they're in the industry, and they move up and up and up, and they never have a college degree.
Yep.
Which one's the better candidate?
It just really depends.
It just depends.
Again, it's just going to have to boil down to what exactly is this candidate doing? What is their body of work? I mean, are they a go-getter? Are they continuing to push and drive? And
you can have you can have all the degrees in the world and still be a very crappy employee.
Exactly. So, I mean, no, a degree is not a disqualification. And if we had two candidates side by side, and their qualifications are exactly the same, the candidate that has that degree, he's going to get the job because he has that commitment level. He's already shown that.
It's proven to the client that, hey, this person can put up with stuff.
Yep.
They can take orders. They can follow procedures. They can follow, they've done 4 years worth of homework. They can at least do, and it is a commit. Not everybody has a college degree for a reason, because it is a kind of hard to get.
Exactly.
And there's big debt and all that stuff. So you make a very big commitment to get that degree, and as a potential client to hire, I'm going to look at that.
Absolutely.
And that matters. It just does.
And it does. I mean, it's a sad reality, but there is a reason that college graduates do make more money, and it's simply because, I mean, they've shown that. I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but to show that commitment, to say that, I committed to something for 4 years, I invested my time, I invested my sanity, so to speak, and I did it.
So what's the thought process out there right now for like clients that are hiring IT, and what is the thought process for potential clients? What are they thinking? What do you think that they're thinking? Does a degree matter?
From a client aspect, yes. I mean, a degree is just mandatory, and unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That's the way it's always going to be. But it is going to be mandatory. However, what we're starting to see is not only is the degree mandatory, depending on what you're going for, now you need to start having certifications. Now you need to start differentiating yourself and separating yourself from the pack and say, you know what, I am an Adobe Experience Manager developer. I know the product. I've been working in the product for a few years. I'm going to take this certification just to be able to say, you know what, I do know what I'm talking about. I can back it up by taking this exam.
And the days of IT being this broad thing that everybody does is way over.
Oh, absolutely.
IT is so specific now. You are in each niche, and you do. When somebody says I'm an IT person, that could mean one of 1,000 things.
Oh, it's like 2,000 or 5,000.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's huge.
And it's niched down. And if you don't have certification, so in some ways, and I think you'll agree with me, a certification is more important even than a degree if you're looking for that job in what you've been certified in.
Oh, absolutely. And even from that same standpoint, like when we do our search, that is one of our, I don't want to say it's a disqualifier, but that is something when we know that somebody's certified, we know that we can market them and we can push them to the market and help them find a job faster because they do have that certification. That shows a level of commitment that you know your craft. You are siloed, you know it, and you understand it to the best of the abilities, and you're up to date on it.
Yeah, and when we talk about resumes, and I'm sure everybody's going to be colorful on their resume, right? I mean, that's
absolutely.
just kind of what people do. So you have to take a grain of salt when somebody says, well, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been the IT director for 20 years when they were a help desk person. I mean, you just don't know. But a certification you can't fake.
Exactly. You can't.
You can't fake a cert. I mean, if you've got a number and a certification number, it means you took the test that shows you do know something about that freaking product.
Oh, absolutely. And that's really what it's about. I mean, being able to say, hey, you know what? I can back up what I say I can do. And that's really what a certification does.
I look at my experience in the IT world, and I've seen so many different kinds of people in IT. We talk about the very, very educated to the self-educated, and the tinkerer. And I love to hire if when I am hiring and stuff, I want to know that this person goes home and does this stuff at home, because that means they really have a passion and a guidance for it. I've seen, probably in my world in IT, half of the IT people out there don't have degrees. They just don't. And as I look back, I will say that I think most of the better IT people that I've worked with actually did have degrees. And I think it goes back to they put up with what it took to get one, and they had the wherewithal to do it. I really believe that was a part of the reason that they were so good at what they did, because they were used to putting up with crap already.
I gotta ask you a question. So when you sit there and you say you want somebody to have a passion and you want to see what they have going home, aren't you worried about possible burnout?
No, I'm not, only because if you love something, do you get burnt out? I mean, I guess you could, but, and now that you say that, I've never even thought about it. I've never thought about it because I'm a geek, and I go home and I love playing and tinkering with my geeky stuff. So I've never even thought that, oh, wow, I could get burnt out of the stuff I do. I never even thought about that.
Well, I think that there needs to be a balance. Obviously, if you love it and you have a passion for it, you're right. I think you're not going to get burned out of it, but I think you're going to not put as much thought into some things at times. So I do think that there needs to be that balance.
The balance.
So, yeah.
That's why I do guitars on the side.
See?
To get away from technology.
As long as you have other hobbies that kind of compensate, then I think you're fine.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think seeing the different degrees of people in the IT world, because I've done a lot of hiring and firing, and I've been hired and fired, so I kind of get and understand that whole industry on that side of being in it, and there's this giant gamut, and I'll say, I hired a person because they had a degree, and I was excited because the person was, very, very qualified. It seemed like the experience wasn't on the resume as much as I wanted to see, and that should have been a red flag to me. But gosh, the guy had a degree, so I'm like, they must know something. And it was the worst employee hire that I had actually ever had. It was brutal and horrible, and I ended up having to let the person go. And it was kind of not a wake up call for me, but I did realize, hey, this person, 40 years old, wants a tech job. Why wouldn't has a degree? Why wouldn't? It was a red flag for me the other way, because they had the degree. I was worried about it, and I've told people, and they ask, hey, Bobby, should I get a master's in computer science? And I'm like, if you've been in IT, for 15 years, and you have this book of business, basically, of experience that you have, then heck yeah, a master's degree will absolutely help you. If you have hardly any IT experience and you have a master's degree in computer science, I won't hire you.
No, and agreed. I mean, having said that, you want to find people that have real world experience as well as the degree. So the
degree matters, but it's not the only thing that matters.
Absolutely.
A degree by itself is worthless.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say worthless. And in some ways, in my opinion, it would hurt you, because I won't hire a person now that has a super high degree and has no experience. I will not hire that person.
Absolutely. I mean,
I'd rather you be a grunt working it up and not having a degree. I'll hire that guy much quicker than or I'll even hire a person that doesn't have very much experience or a degree over a person with a degree, because I know I can teach and train that person, and I in the interviewing process maybe get an idea of
who they are.
Yeah, who they are. So
what their work ethic is.
If they got a degree and no experience, it's a red flag for me, because it just is. Yeah. Because I've been burned, I guess.
So let me ask you this. What made you hire that person to begin with? Was it
I got excited. Yeah, it actually was. I got excited that, ooh, cool, this person has, and they were older, and I have always liked to kind of hire new guys, because then I can teach them the IT world the way I liked it, because let's face it, every IT person believes they're right. I mean, they just do. And I like to get them before they get that.
Fair enough.
And so I like to hone and I build them up, and then they become great, amazing IT. I've got guys that have been in my company that now work in these big giant and I love seeing that. I love feeling like, wow, I had a little bit to do with that.
You contributed.
Yeah. And so the one time that I kind of went off that path and hired somebody I thought with lots of not experience, but a lot of education. So I was excited to go with that. And it come to find out that person, they had taken a new path. They got older in life and they decided they were going to be an IT person. And it was not pretty.
Gotcha. So ultimately, the fact that he had his degree, what
get him hired. It was a bachelor's. It was a bachelor's degree.
So he had his bachelor's, older guy,
yeah,
no experience. You thought, hey, you know what? I can mold him. I can train him. I can do what I want with this guy. And then turns out, he's set in his ways.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm wondering, did they have a master's degree? It's been a while. It's been a long time. It's stuck in my head, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, a traumatic experience like that. Yeah, it's gonna stick with you.
Oh, it was, yeah. It's fun to think back, and we've got so many fun experiences we're going to talk about on the show too. We're going to hit different topics. This is super super good. What would you suggest to somebody listening right now? Do you get a degree? Do you not? What's your suggestion? I'll give my 2 cents. You give your 2 cents.
Absolutely. More than anything else, yes, you should still continue your degree. I mean, like we kind of alluded to already, it shows a level of commitment to people that you do know what you're doing, that you do have the fortitude to continue something, minus all the partying. Making sure that you're doing all the fun.
If you can pass and party, see,
right, exactly. Believe it or not, C's do get degrees, but obviously on the IT side, you want somebody who's a little bit more on the A side. So I get it.
Right. Yeah. My thought process out of this whole thing is, yeah, I agree. If you've got two candidates and all is equal, but the one has a degree, I will hire the person with the degree every time.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Let's talk corporate America. I mean, do you think most companies are feel that same way?
I think, yeah. In the corporate world, especially from an HR or a hiring manager perspective, especially in a big corporation, they've got thousands of applicants. Let's face it.
Oh, absolutely.
How do you get rid of the applicants? And so, if you put a bachelor's degree as a thing to get rid of them, you have no chance of getting in the door without a degree.
Right.
And let's face it, that is something they put. I mean, how often do you see that on the application or for?
Yeah, I see that all the time. I mean, it's funny because
and not that it's a recommendation, but that
right.
it's a what do you call it?
It's a requirement.
Yeah, it's a requirement. Yeah.
So one, it's already a requirement, but let's go through the funnel. You look at these huge companies that are hiring. You look at Apple. You look at Facebook. They're starting to break the trend and say, you know what, we don't need to hire people with degrees, but they're starting to rely more on experience, and not only experience, but certifications. So. Yep. Yes, it is starting to change, but I think it's going to be a slow change. But if you're looking to just get in the door, absolutely. If you're looking to advance your career, you're gonna need a degree. It's just that simple.
If you have that entry level tech job, you really should figure out how to go to school.
Agreed.
All of my entry level techs, I tell them, guys, let's figure out how to get you in school, either a community college or something. Just take something every once in a while. You don't have to kill yourself. You can go to college now and take one credit a semester or whatever. Just stay in school, and eventually that way your experience will go with your education, and you will be very desirable.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and not only that, so universities and some colleges are catching on to where they're doing boot camps now. If you do a boot camp, that's going to give you some of that experience that you're lacking. So that's a potential avenue to explore as well. Not only just college, but that's going to show that you completed something. You've bought into bettering yourself and being able to do more with yourself. And
Yep. Wow. This is interesting. This is going to be fun. Me and you can sit and talk for hours.
Oh, absolutely.
About this stuff. We did 2 hours last night.
Right.
We meant to talk about the show, and we ended up going off on
totally different tangent
on everything, business ideas. I mean, we're also entrepreneurs at heart. We just are.
Oh, absolutely.
We're business minded, and that's why this intrigues us so much. And I've been in the IT industry so long, and it's kind of your niche, that this is just really interests us. And the whole fact of the new IT, that guys, if you snooze, you lose in this day and age. The age of technology is upon us, and if you don't know or understand how you're going to be a part of that, you're going to be left behind.
Well, and not only that, I think, not to go off in too big of a tangent, but IT is evolving to where it's not necessarily looking for that full-time direct hire position anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you take sites like Upwork. There you have consultants out there who are willing to consult and do that type of IT. So it's changing quite a bit, and it's interesting to see kind of where it goes. So I'm excited to kind of talk about those topics later on and in future episodes. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think this is fun. Thanks for asking me if we wanted to do this show together. I think it's going to be an interesting ride, and we're going to really kind of dive into the world. And it's funny, I've been a part of so many podcasts, and I've never done a technology or IT podcast, which it's been my whole life for the last 20-something years. So that's funny. It's cool to actually be in it and talk about what I do on a day-to-day basis anyway.
Right. Well, you've just been busy doing it. You've been busy doing it,
and having fun with podcasting. I do love. Podcasting is fun. You get to pretend like you're a radio guy.
Exactly.
Back in the day, we all dreamed about that. Now we all get to do it.
Absolutely.
Now, if anybody listens, well, that's a different story. But
right. What do you do?
Well, cool, Brad. Let's. I say let's wrap this episode up. We got another one under the belt, and we'll see everybody next time for the new IT.